Hello everybody. I'm going to do a project today where we're going to make a fish platter. In Michigan here we have lots of trout and specifically steelhead, and I think it would be a great thing, very sellable product. Very people create a lot of conversation by making a platter that has a fish in it. So I'm going to make kind of a local fish. So maybe if you're close to the ocean you should make an ocean fish, but this also is a good example of a project where you can just cut the outside edge to whatever shape you would like and then decorate the inside part of it so it's a real functional, easy to use a platter. A fun project, hopefully. In this project, I'm going to use an 8 by 15 oval, but you really could use any size you want. So depending on how much space you want to take up or what you want to serve on there, I'm going to use 8 by 15 oval. As inspiration, I want to use do steelhead. So what I did was I just looked on my phone and typed in steelhead, and then when it pops up, it also asks if you want to see images. So then I went through the images to feel like the image that I want to select. So this image will then give me inspiration. Okay, now take your form. Again, that's 8 by 15. And what I'm going to do is this, I'm going to take some paper here and try to draw out what my image will look like. So I think these ooh, oops, you got a little, move it over here so it doesn't go in the crack, but it doesn't really matter. What's kind of distinctive about these steelhead is they have this kind of crazy mouth. And if you look up the picture, you'll see what the steelhead would look like. And I'm just going to kind of sketch out here what this kind of general view of the fish. I'll show you here in a second. And then I'm just going to make this kind of big, lovely tail. One thing when you're doing these edge pieces is thinking about not making, kind of not very sharp things, because if you're going to be very sharp, it could easily break. I'm just going to kind of continue making the mouth here. Let's look at my inspiration here again. Yeah, I wondered. So it just kind of helps me to kind of give a feel for, keep running and like cracking my table here. It's whole. And I just want to have an idea the proportion is right. So I'm just going to draw out here too, just to kind of give me a feel of, you know, is this a good shape? Is it going to really work proportionally? And then, you know, always having the eye there, that really can kind of help your kind of, these are going to be the fins, and you know, there's another fin kind of right here. We'll probably have to decorate on the inside. These like gills kind of here. What's nice about these trout is they have these lovely spots, so they'll be fun to decorate. And then here, I'm just going to kind of emphasize the tail probably here. And if possible, I could even drill a hole here in my clay to add a little bowl in there for a dip. So, you know, eventually the thing's going to be here. And maybe I can even cut some slots in here, or circles, to put a little serving knives in here. So that when you're having a platter, you could have vegetables or whatever, your dip, little serving knives, even a charcuterie board. So now what we can do is we can kind of get a piece of clay that will match kind of our drawing of paper here. And you really can cut it out if you want. I think I'm just going to wing it. I just have this drawing here to kind of give me make sure the perspective is going to be kind of okay. Looks kind of almost like it'd be better for a whale. Let's make a really fun whale platter, right? So yeah, let's see. All right, so now we're going to take our rib and compress the slab. Two directions. And I'm just going to put it on this board. It's going to be close to fitting. Do this, drape my slab over top. All right, now move that slab towards the form. More medium pressure. Take my rib here. It's kind of fun to a chunk of clay on there, but I like to have those little marks in the clay, kind of serendipitous of where it ends up. This is going to be kind of a pretty natural clay, so speckly clay, so a little other kind of variations will add to it. All right, now again, I'm going to take my pencil here and kind of try to recreate the mouth of this trout, steelhead. And I can just draw on the clay with my pencil here because I can always kind of fix that. There we go. Look at that. And the eye is going to be kind of right here. So now I'm pretty happy with how that shape is. So now I'm just going to cut around the outside edge. And again, as it dries, I can make adjustments if I need to. But this will give me the shape that I'm kind of going for in this fish platter. Hello, Mr. Fish. Good to have you here. With some of the clay here, I'm going to make a foot. Using my one foot, I can need a little wider one. And this will be just a little easier than getting other clay. I'm just going to use some of my scraps here by pulling this foot maker through the clay. The nice thing is this clay is the same moisture content. Now what I'm going to do is take my slab, my little pieces I made here, kind of wrap them around the very edge. I think this is a really good thing to elevate your forms you're making here, pieces. Really helps with glazing and kind of firing. So a lot of you skip it, but I think it's really critical to have a foot on there. You can hear me preach about it. So now I'm just going to cut these on the angle so they lay on top of each other. Look at that. Yeah. If you want, I think it's even kind of helpful. This is pretty close. 8 inches is my right at the edge. Typically, I probably won't even put one on here. Actually, let's not put one on here. But you may want to put if you have real saggy clay like B-Mix, you may want to put an extra chunk on there to kind of hold that center part from slumping. And use this J820 tool to make it attached, squishing the foot to the body. And I can adjust when it's leather hard. It doesn't quite. I kind of watch it as it dries anyway, so if I need to add or change some of that right here maybe, I can do that as it what I can do is lift up these edges. I'm liking the shape. And I think the more confidence you have in what the shape is going to turn out, the better it turns out. Funny how that works. Grab one of my studio boards here. And okay, so now I have this kind of wide foot here in these fins. I might just use actually another form here as a spacer. So let's find one that's a good size. Maybe just use this one because it's going to sit on underneath there. Yeah, actually on here. So we can take this slide off the edge, grab onto the wood. Yeah, see how it's kind of slumping down? Now I'm just going to set this right on top. And now I can kind of just create the angle. And this angle really will make your piece, elevate your piece of like kind of holding its shape. Let's see how that goes. But really kind of, we're just kind of, it's helping us to kind of making sure all these maybe now switching to the top view, all these fins will then kind of touch that base. And so we know that the bottom of this fin is the same as the bottom of this fin. Around here to make sure to clean it up a little bit. Press this down just a little. I think it's good to kind of have this kind of edge in there. That can all get cleaned up when it's leather hard or kind of in process. So it's kind of fun. Kind of creates a nice little fish shape. What? Well, I highly encourage you to figure out the size form that you want to use to kind of develop something that really speaks to your area, to your customers, and makes your simple trade come to life and have a meaning and purpose. All right, so overnight here, you let this dry a little bit, cut the plastic on it. And again, you can see how you can grab this tail, I can lift it up and it all stays pretty well together. And look, it's a nice little fish platter. And so now we have to make some decisions of like what do we kind of clean up. And I think it's in pretty good shape, so I think I'm just going to clean up this outside edge. soften up that edge a bit, and I can do that mainly with my rounding rib. Yeah, it's a really nice kind of leather hard state here, so it's not going to affect the warping by me pressing hard against the edge to kind of soften it up. And it's much more efficient to kind of clean it up because it's got that resistance. And I think if I were to go back and do shows in Michigan, especially along the lakeshore, I would make a bunch of these platters. I think it's a very sellable platter, right? The other thing you can do, especially at this stage, is we can just drill a hole in our foot, and then that would allow us to be able to hang it on the wall by just putting some little wires in the holes that we make. So that's a really nice way to make it usable in other ways. Again, I've learned and kind of talked about how I like to take the form and clean up, help me kind of move it around, and then also the bottom's going to get caught on those little scraps of clay, stick to it. So and now for this inner part here, I'm just going to have to use my trimming tool to kind of touch up those edges. I think it really helps to soften up those edges. You got to be really careful with this part here. It could easily break off.